Yeah, hi. We'll start the class. So, only Christy has submitted the assignment. What about the others? Like every day, one person is submitting. Manoj has done one day, Vijayan has done one day, and Christy has done one day. It's like rotation basis, you are doing the assignments.
No, it's not like that. I will submit.
Like 3 days I have seen. First Manoj did, then you did, then now Christy did.
No, I submitted earlier also.
One screenshot and Vijay has done. But last 3 days I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So try to just submit the assignment so that I can know what you are doing. Based on that, I can give more assignments, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it will be done today. I mean, we'll be busy with kids.
Yeah. So you're able to understand the concepts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So next thing, what we have seen till now, we have seen the rules and the data types, typecasting, the control statements, loop, and the secondary data types. We have seen set, main things we have seen set, list, tuple, dictionary. Okay. So these are the main things what we have to cover actually, and we have covered. And we have other things also like frozen set, I said, right?
Yeah, frozen set.
So frozen set is another like secondary data type, you can say, which stores the data and retrieves the information. Okay. And we have a lot of other things also apart from frozen data set. So we'll see that in another session. But before that, we'll have to see first functions. Okay. What is functions and why we need it? Just give me a second, okay? Yeah, so we'll start with functions now. And after the functions, step by step, we'll see this frozen set also. Like these are less important concepts. Okay. Functions is more important in any language. The first thing you have to understand what is functions and how we write a user-defined function. Okay. What is functions first of all? Suppose what is it we have seen till now? Print. What does print do?
Output.
Output. What is input for? Taking input, right? So here each function is doing a single task. Like we have seen find, index, count, lot of functions we have seen. Each function was doing only one task itself. There were no two outputs. and it's the same thing. Any function is used to perform a task. Like if I want to do some work, I have to write a function. Okay. So here, if you want to do a task, we need a set of instructions. So set of instructions written to perform a particular task. That is the first thing you can say. Okay. Set of instructions written to perform a particular task. Here, what we can see that every function is defined as predefined and user defined. Predefined means already defined by the developer. Like we have seen the count, index, find and all. Those comes under the predefined keyword. So the functions. User defined means what we have to write. So there should be a structure in order to write these functions. So we have two things to follow whenever we write a function. So how to write a function? What I can say, first thing is def keyword is required. Okay. So def is nothing but define. So we are defining the function first of all. And the second thing what we required is a parameter. Okay. So two things, define and parameters. Next, the syntax will be define, function name will be there, part 1 to part n will be there, and for every block colon is mandatory, and after the colon indent will be there. Okay. So what is that indent? Space. Statement 1 to statement n, and we have a thing known as return. Return a particular variable. Okay. So here, the next thing, after writing this, what we can do with that return keyword, we can transfer the values from this user defined block to the main block. Okay. So what is main block? What is sub block? Actually, till now what we have done, we were able to write everything inside a single program, single file. Suppose if I want to reuse that file, all the tasks will be reused. But what I want a particular block of code, like say I have arithmetic operations, plus, minus, into, division, multiplication. Okay. So in this, I want only the addition logic to be reused. Then for that reason, we can go with this block of code. That is a function. Okay. And here, these two things are there. These two properties are there, def and parameters. So parameters are nothing but in the parentheses we give the values, and return is one more parameter you can say. So what I can say, function has two properties. One is return, the second is parameters. Okay. Two things are there. Now coming to function types. So based on the two properties, functions are classified into 4 types. So what are the 4 types you can say? First will be function without return and without parameters. Okay. So how to write this function? We are not having any return keyword and we are not having any parameters. So these are also not there, you can see. Okay. So the first thing we'll check, suppose I'm writing that function addition of 2 values. Okay. Def sum I'm writing. So it's a block of code. Usually how we write that addition of values? First we'll write without the user defined function and then we'll see that user defined function advantage. Say I have x equals to int of input enter x value and y equals to int of input enter y value. So now z equals to x plus y, print sum equals to z. So this is a basic of writing a addition program, right?
Yeah.
Save this as sum.py or we can save function.py. That's a batch one. Sorry, I have to save it inside. Python programs batch one function.py. It's a D drive. Python programs are there. So we got that x value and the y value. We executed it. But suppose if I want to execute the sum twice, what do you have to do? Again, we have to write the same logic separately. So what's happening here? If I want to reuse the same logic again, I have to write the set of instructions, same set of instructions. Instead of doing that, what I can do, I can define a particular sum. So a indent must be given for all the instructions inside it, right? So all these are the indents. Next, save this thing and execute. But it won't print anything. Why it's not printing anything? Why it's not asking the values? Because you defined a block, but you didn't call it. So every time 2 things are there. One is defining a block and calling. So calling can be done with the name of the function directly. And based on the parameters if are there, you need to give the number of parameters. So here, sum. This is a way of calling a particular user-defined function. You got 10, 20. So the sum is 30, right? Now the same sum, if I am calling again, what will happen?
It will pass 2 times.
Right. 3 and 4 if I am giving, that sum is 7, right?
Yeah.
So this is the advantage of writing a code in a block, user-defined block. I can reuse that repeated number of times, you can say. Okay. But suppose I'm writing another user-defined block, like say def multiplication. So what is the difference in multiplication? Just you need to have into, right? And multiplication. So these are inside the sum block and these are inside the multiplication block. Okay. So now what I have to do? Mul. Save this thing. I have 10 and 5 and 5 and 3, 15, right? But the thing is, it's asking for the input twice, first and second. Like if I write 10 functions, again I have to give 10 times. But what I want to do, I want to take only single input, and for the single input, I want to perform the arithmetic operations.
It can use a parameter.
Come again?
You can give a parameter, value as a parameter.
Yes. So for that thing, what we can give a parameter values. Instead of giving the values separately in each block, what I can do directly, just remove them and take the values. So what are the values are there? So those values must be given inside this. So what I have to do, take an input, and after taking the input, just pass them in xy of sum and xy of multiplication. So here if I am passing, they should be the variables which are catching those values. So what I can say, x comma y. And if I want, I can take a comma b also, a into b. Okay, because only we are transferring the values, not the names. The name should not match, or it matches, it doesn't matter. Only the thing is, in this a and b, the values will be transferred. Okay, say this thing. So this is what the second type of function that I can say as function without written and with parameters. Okay. So some x comma y is there, multiplication a comma b, but we are passing x and y, x comma y and x and y. Is this thing clear? Any doubts? Any doubts?
No.
Right. So here, after writing this, there is a block of code which we can use every time. It's up to us directly. And now what I want to perform is function with return type. Without parameters I want to write. Okay. So I'll just remove the entire thing. And now I'm writing a single sum again. A equals to input of enter a value. So what is that? C equals to a plus b I can take. print I'm doing directly. Sum equals to
C.
that without return and without the parameters, right? Suppose I have another requirement here. I want to find the average. So if I want to find the average, I need to have this sum value, right? That C value should be there inside this. Okay? Or I'll take one more thing, X also. And one more thing, Y also. I'll take 4 parameters sum, X and Y. So what is there? A plus B plus X plus Y. So again I have to have this sum value means what? Instead of printing it here or after printing also, what I can use? Return C, or I can just use that to print inside that sum. So return C in the sense I am transferring the value of this A plus B plus X plus Y. The entire sum I am trying to transfer directly. Okay? Understood? So here sum will be there. In that sum, I'm trying to store some k equals to sum. Why? Because whenever I return, the value will be transferred to this block itself. So where we are starting, it will return to the same block, and the value is there inside that sum itself. And this sum is a block for which we are storing the value inside the k. And that k is a sum value, I can print it directly here. Print sum equals to C and average equals to k by 4. That's it, right? So that will be the average value. And I can print that average. So what I have to give some values, say 56, 76, 34. Yeah, I have to print k instead of C, right? Here the value is transferred, not the variable. So I can't use C here. That is defined inside the sum block. It is limited to that block itself. That's the reason I got the error. Name C is not defined, right? So we cannot use one block value outside of it. Now again run it. I'll say, so I got the average, right? So this is what function with return and without parameters, you can say.
Rohit, the one which you have written, right? We can use only the same program. So can we call it another program once it is written?
Return we cannot call another program. But what we can do, we can import this.
That's all.
I'll show you how to import that block of code.
Oh, okay.
So anywhere, we can write a code inside a file and we can import that thing directly. There is an advantage of that. Okay. So, right, where were we? Like this is what function with return and without parameters, right?
Yes, yes.
Next. So what do we have to see next thing?
Return with parameters.
Right. The same thing in this block of code, instead of writing them inside the sum, I'll just remove that entire thing and write it here outside the block. Okay, so what I have to do here now, to that block I need to pass the values a comma b comma x comma y. Okay, this is passing that parameters and storing that output value, return value inside that key. Same thing, the input is given outside of that particular block and we are passing the parameters p comma a comma b comma x comma y. Save this thing, same program. Now if I am trying to run, we'll be having that same output, right? Okay, any doubts?
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So this is the last thing known as function with return and with parameters, right? We can perform the even or odd program or the factorial program. A lot of things are there. All those things we can perform directly. Okay. But we have other features of this function also. Like in Python, we have different properties. Means I can store the values. If I'm transferring only one value, instead of one value, I can transfer multiple values also. Okay. So what are the multiple values? How we can transfer them? That we have to see. Let's take an example. What I'm trying to write is a calculator part question, calci, where I'm taking two values a comma b and I'm performing different things like sum or sum a plus b, you can say, multiplication a into b, and division, you can say a divided by b. So there are three particular things we are trying to perform. Let's say return sum comma mul comma division. Usually transferring of multiple values is not supported by any other language. No language supports multiple values transferred. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm calling that calc. That a and b values are required, right? So a equals to int of input of directly enter a value. The same thing we can have it with b also. Next, calc of a comma b. So those values are returned into a variable. Let's say some t. Only one variable I'm giving, and I'm just trying to print that t value. So what happens? Will it print all the three values or will it give error? 4, 5. It's taking in the form of, what is this now?
List.
What type? List?
No.
It's a dictionary.
A tuple.
Tuple? How to know the type?
In type and that T. No type. T.
We have already seen this thing. If I store that values directly, we'll get inside the tuple itself, right?
Yeah.
You can print that thing. What is tuple? Is it immutable or mutable?
It's immutable.
Right. So instead of storing in a single variable, what happens if I say ta comma s comma r? Okay, and I'm printing tsr. Save this thing, run this part, 4 and 5. I'm getting 9, 20 and 0.8. All these are individual values. That's the reason it's integer, right?
Yeah.
So we are able to retrieve each value in a single variable also. The first is tsum. Why? You can see that first value what I'm returning is sum. And the next s is multiplication. And the next thing will be division. Okay. So this is the way we can write these things, like say 10 and 2. 12 is the sum, 20 is a multiplication, and 5 is the division. We got the output, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to transfer different values also, return different values, right? So we can have multiple parameters and multiple return also. And remember, this is possible in Python itself, not in C, not in Java, not in .NET PHP or any other thing. Okay. I guess in PLSK also it does not support multiple return, right? Or it supports
No, only one.
only one. Yeah. So this feature of Python is good. Like it's different from other programming languages. If you want to transfer multiple, you can have multiple things. Next, after this, we have different types of parameters. The parameters only we can give in different types, different functionalities are there. Okay. So what are those? We'll see now. So now I'll just remove this. This is clear, right? Understood? Like we can store these values inside a single variable. It will take it as tuple, and we can store it in multiple values also. Okay. What happens if I take some extra variable and print that k? What will be the output? Not enough values to unpack. Expected 4, got 3, right? So why this value error is coming?
Because the return is we have only 3.
Yes.
3 values.
And we are storing it in 4 variables, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we are getting it as a value error. Right. So I can just remove this thing. And now I have a particular thing known as types of arguments. So what are the different types of arguments we have? Types of arguments. First is positional arguments. Second is keyword arguments. Third is default arguments. Fourth is variable arguments. So we have seen these positional arguments, the arguments which we were passing are nothing but the positional arguments itself. Okay. So now we have to see what you mean by keyword arguments. Suppose I have 2 parameter values and I'm trying to pass only one value. What about that second thing? What will happen then? Understood the question?
No, I did not get it. Can you
Like
repeat, please?
define a function, then you'll understand. I'm just saying that sum is there with a comma b, and I'm just trying to write print sum equals to a plus b. But what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to pass only one value, 10. What about the b value? I'm not passing, right? What happens if I don't pass a value? I'm asking.
It will become null and it will just treat it as 0, second value.
Okay.
Error, right?
Number.
Suppose if I don't give any value, suppose a is there or x is there, I'm not giving any value, I'm trying to print x, what will happen?
Give error, right?
Give error.
Right.
So it will give error.
Let's see what it's doing for the functions, because functions also it's saying what? Missing one required positional argument. We needed this, what you can say, two arguments, but I got only one argument, right?
Yes.
So that is positional arguments. Positional arguments means 10 comma 20 if I give, then the sum will be 30. Okay. So if I don't give a position, it will give the error. Positional argument is missing, required positional argument. Next, what is keyword argument? What do you mean by keyword argument directly?
That is
I'll just give a different thing. Define wish. I'm wishing a person good morning or good evening, or you can say anything. What I'm trying to write, hello, and I have a name and a message. Simple thing, right? So if I say wish of, like I'm just trying to say Python and say good morning. What I'll get, the simple output, hello Python, good morning. What happens if I change good morning and Python now? Will it print the same output, hello Python, good morning, because the name is Python and the message is good morning actually.
Actually, hello, good morning, Python.
Hello, good morning.
It will print hello, good morning Python, right? So I want to store that name as Python and the message is good morning. So name equals to Python I'm saying, and message equals to good morning. Okay. So now what happens? Say this thing. Hello Python, good morning, I got it right. Understood that keyword argument means what? Based on the keywords I'm passing the values. Like I can pass directly also, like wish of name equals to Python and message equals to good evening. Okay.
Not take the position as input. Based on the variable, even if you have the position also, it will print the
Yeah, like it will print the same thing because I'm giving that keyword arguments, right? So what's your question? I didn't get it. Come again.
If I say name and message, that will take as a key.
Okay.
I'm just asking. So it must
Yes,
take as
yes.
a key.
That it's taking as a key. Suppose now what I'm trying to do, let's say I'm removing this as name. Only one keyword I'm taking. Okay. Save this scene. We got the output correctly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why default argument.
Now the same thing what I'll do it with this. What's it saying? Positional argument follows keyword argument. Means first thing can be positional argument and the second thing must be keyword argument. So you cannot start with the keyword argument, it's saying. Understood that point?
Yeah.
It's clearly giving the error. Positional argument follows keyword argument, not the vice versa. Okay? So here it will give error. Understood?
Yeah.
Now if I remove this and give this as a name, what will happen?
It will work.
Yeah.
It will work in the same way.
No?
What got multiple values for argument name? So first thing it's positional argument. Positional argument in the sense good morning also is going to the name. And name
Okay.
equals to Python also is going to that name itself. That's the reason it's giving saying there's only one parameter and you're trying to have two values.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
See, yeah.
If you are not using key, then by default it will take a first argument.
Right. If not giving that key, Python is a positional argument. And the second thing is a keyword argument. But it's not the case. The first thing is I'm not giving any name, keyword, and I'm having that name as Python. Okay?
So,
Understood?
Yeah.
So what we have now here, the keyword argument is done and how we have to give. Now next is default arguments. So what default argument means? Like I'm just saying a name equals to Python and message equals to
Okay.
good morning. What is the advantage of it? Wish, I'm saying empty. I'm not passing any values. So it's printing hello Python good morning, right? Because it's taking the default values name equals to Python and message equals to good morning. Okay. Now, what I'll say, only I'll give Python. Hello Python, good morning. We got it correctly because the first is a positional argument. So it goes to the positional argument and the second is a default value it's taking. Okay. Now, what I want to say, I want to take good evening as a first value. Now, what will be the output?
And good morning.
Yeah, hello, good evening, and good morning will be there. Okay. So the first thing is a positional argument. That's the reason. Now, what if I give directly message equals to good evening What will be the output? Tell me.
Python Green.
Think and tell, because just now we have seen this, and the previous example of keyword arguments also we have seen the same thing. Can we have the first as a keyword argument?
No, no.
No,
First start as a
no,
position. It will
first
give
will
error.
be positional.
Position. No.
So what it's taking?
Yeah, it's replacing the
So
message.
it has position as a default and second as a value. That's what I initially.
Yes, but it's different for default and the keyword argument, right?
Yes, yes.
If I give here Python or Java, if I suppose, okay?
It will give error, right?
Yes,
Okay.
because positional argument follows by keyword argument. Okay? So if we have two things, then it's giving error. But if you have only the one thing, which is what you can say keyword argument, it's fine, because default argument already it's taking, right? Name as Python.
Yes, yes.
Understood?
I understand.
Right. So the next thing. Any doubts in this default arguments? We can know the different ways of giving the default arguments now, right?
Yeah.
Suppose I am giving the name Java. Okay, and that's a keyword argument I'm using, right? Yeah, fine, that's it. So that's it for this particular default argument also. Now what about the variable length argument? Suppose I want to find a sum, okay, and I'm seeing star n. Star indicates multiple, all. Okay, how many times you will pass the values, it will take those many number of times. So this star n indicates the variable length type of argument. Means some x equals to 0. So for what I'm trying to do, I in n trying to print x equals to x plus I, right?
Yeah.
So we have already done this thing, the sum. But what I'm trying to do now here, by passing n number of values, like say sum, what will happen? I'll check it out. Sum comma 10, sum 10 comma 20, sum 10 comma 20 comma 30. Okay, so 4 different types of methods I have written with different number of variables. I got 10, 10, 30, 10, 30, 60, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's a for loop, it's getting repeated. Suppose I remove this for loop, then what will happen? Let's run this thing.
Yeah.
What I got?
I is not defined.
X plus n, we can say then. Unsupported operand type for intent tuple, because it taking the values as
Yeah.
tuple. The single variable can store multiple values. It's a tuple thing. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to write it inside the I in n itself and x plus I. Okay. So I'll just remove this thing and find the sum. I got the 10, 30 and 60, right? First,
Can you give the n number of inputs? I mean, real time input instead of mentioning here, you can.
yeah,
Based,
we can do it.
Based on
N number of inputs you're asking.
based on the value of n, it will ask n number of inputs.
That we can do, but we need to write in a while loop.
Okay.
Because if I take while loop, then it's possible,
Okay.
or else not. But we need those many variables also, right? Then it will take tuple directly. You can take a single variable tuple, then it is possible. But it is little complex if you take that n inputs. Because tuple also, if you're storing, it will override the values, right? We need to add those values in a single variable you are saying, right?
But
Like,
if I don't know what is the value of n when I'm running in that condition, I'm saying we declare this ns, it will take a multiple number of.
yeah, I understood that. You're saying that n of int of input of
Input.
enter
Yes.
n times,
Yeah.
right?
That's what. Yeah.
But
I'm asking.
if I write while also, what is the possibility of things? Like if I say I less than equals to n also, I need to take those many variables, right? How you will take dynamic variables? In a single variable, can you store like t equals to tuple of int of input? Is it possible to convert the entire input into tuple and pass the t value?
Yeah, that's what my question. I don't know whether it's possible.
Let's try it. Say I equals to 1. N value, whatever I give, 3 if I am giving, suppose, 3 times. So I'm saying 10. Int object is not declarable. Okay. I'll say I equals to I plus 1. Okay. 3 I'm giving, 10. It's saying the same thing. Int object is not iterable. So even though I'm trying to convert that into tuple and take that input, suppose I remove this input int now. It's saying that it's not iterable, right? But what's happening? The tuple values are not getting added, right? Here it's considering that I value as tuple itself. So if I try to convert this into int now, int of I, and run this thing, so again 10, so it'll take 10 values, right? Again the same error. What is it? Not int argument must be a string, a byte like object, or a number, not tuple. So can you convert tuple to integer? Not possible, right? So even though you are able to take it, you cannot do the addition thing. What you can perform is displaying. Let's say 3, 10, 20, and 30. Sum is x, right? That's the reason. I'll say I. Three times 10, 20, and 30. What it's taking? 3, 0, right?
The last one was set to.
Yeah, the last one it's taking it as a tuple and displaying it. Okay, so it's either way you can store it, but you cannot print or add the values, right? Whereas we can add the things that I in n values are there. I'm just trying to print them. So whatever that I value is there, okay? But it's a tuple thing. That's the reason we got this problem. What if I print n directly?
Last value it is.
Yes, the same thing. Last value it's taking, right? It's not taking that three values inside the single thing. Okay.
Mhm.
Last value it's taking. That's because here the t of t.
But in that case, we can take a tuple as an input and we can use the function to add the values inside the tuple and return the value.
Here only you are saying adding. See, input if you're taking tuple, you cannot add or display anything. That's a fine large thing, right? We have confirmed that thing, right?
Yes.
Mm.
So next thing, that's a variable type of argument, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see the modules tomorrow. Like I said, we can write a code inside a block and use it again, right?
Okay.
In another file, not in a single file, in another file.
Yes.
For that we use this module concept. Okay.
Okay.
So that's it for today. Try to write the factorial program. Same factorial program in 4 types of function. That's the assignment. Okay. Right. Then that's it for today. We'll meet tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, man.